Hey everyone, today I'm going to implement drag and drop application in React.js. Let's take a look at the design. We'll have two containers, one list 1 and the second list 2. And the first container has 7 items, and I can move items between containers using drag and drop. So I'm going to move item 5 to my second container. And as you can see, the color was changed. And also I can move item 3 or item 7. And also I can move the items back to my first container. And I can move all items from container 1 to container 2 and move them back. And also I can take one item, but then return it to the container. Let's go to the code and build our application. I launched my Visual Studio Code and have folder where I store my React projects. And now I'm going to start new terminal and run command npm create vite at latest. And I need to provide my project name, and it will be drag and drop, and select React and JavaScript. Now I can navigate to my project folder with cd command and run command npm install. Okay, dependencies were installed, and now I can run my dev server with command npm run dev and open my project in the browser. Okay, we have our auto-generated code. I can hide this panel and open my source files. And first of all, I'm going to open app.jsx and remove all this code and provide my h2 tag and provide text, drag and drop up. And now I'm going to modify or adjust my styles. I'll remove all styles from my app CSS except a root element, and in index CSS I'm going to change place items to justify content and remove styles for links and also for button and for h1 tag and also from media styles. Okay, and let's take a look what we have. Okay, we have our h2 tag and it's justified by center. And now I'm going to create new component for my drag and drop application, and I need folder components. And inside this components folder, I'm going to add new file, and it will be drag and drop JSX, where I'll place my functional component, and also I need drag and drop CSS file for my styles. Okay, we can now create our functional component. It will be function drag and drop and return some JSX. We can write our JSX, and I'm going to use React portal, and inside this portal I'll place h2 tag with drag, and I can use this and drop up. And now I can add div, and it will be container, and I can provide class name list container. And inside this container, I'm going to add two divs, and the second one, and inside each div, I'll have the list, and I'm going to add h3 tag and provide text list 1. And now I can add some unordered list, and provide some items like item 1, and we'll do the same for my second div. Okay, and for this I can provide class name list, and the same here, class name list. Okay, and now I can export my component as default and provide name drag and drop. And inside app.jsx, I can remove all this use state and import my drag and drop component and add it instead of this h2 tag. Just drag and drop component. And actually, I can remove this photo. Let's check what we have so far. Okay, we have our h2 tag and list1, and actually we can change to list2, but we have our JSX, and I'm going to return to my drag and drop component and change h3 tag to list2, and also I can remove this item1 and refresh the page. Okay, and we have list2, and now I can add state to my drag and drop component, and I'm going to use hook use state, and it will return me the state variable and the function to change this variable, and I'm going to provide initial state as empty array, and we'll add variables list1, and the function will be set list1 and fine. And I can copy paste this list, but define the name as list2. And for list1, I can create initial state at const and add array of objects, and provide name initial items. It will be array of objects, and each object will have ID and some text like item 1. And I'm going to copy paste this item and change the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and make the same for the text. I need to add commas to avoid these mistakes. 4, 5, 6, 7, and I can provide my initial items as initial state to my list1, and now I can render my list1 using map function instead of this item1. And I'm going to add code and use my list1 and call map function, because list1 is array, and I can iterate through each item of array and return some JSX. And as JSX, I'm going to provide the code. It will be list item and provide item text, and also I need key, and as key I'll use item ID, item ID, and let's check what I have so far. As you can see, we have our items, our 7 items, and we rendered them successfully. And I'm going to make each item draggable by adding this property draggable. And let's check what I have so far. And as you can see, I can drag the items, but I have this blocked sign, and the functionality isn't working for now, but we're going to adjust it. And first of all, let's add some styles. I'm going to import my drag and drop CSS, and I can provide styles for my container, and it's a class, and I can make display flex and make justify content by center, and now I can add styles for my list, and I'm going to add box shadow. It will be 0.05 pixels gray, and let's add some padding, 0.5 rem, and we can add margin 1 rem, and also define some width like 20 rem, and define height and make it 25 rem. And let's check what we have so far. Okay, we have list 1 and list 2, and now we can provide styles for our list. I'm going to add styles to my list, and add this style type, and remove these dots by adding none, and make padding 0 for all sides. Let's check what we have. As you can see, these dots were removed, and let's add styles for item. For each item, I'm going to make background color green, and add some padding, some small padding like 0.3 rem, and add some margin like 0.2 rem, and also make cursor pointer, and color for text will be white. Okay, and let's check. As you can see, we have our items. We can increase paddings, and let's check. And the paddings are increased, and we can add hover pseudo class to our item to have hover, and change background color to dark green. Let's check. Okay, when I hover over the item, the background color is changing, and let's return to our component and build our drag and drop functionality that will allow us to place items inside list 2 and move them back. Okay, first of all, we need to allow drag over, and I'm going to add event to my div with class name list. It's a container for our list, and I'll add on drag over event, and add event handler, and I need some event, and I will call function handle drag over and pass my event. And now I need to implement this function inside my component. It will be arrow function that will take event, and here we'll just simply prevent the default behavior to allow dropping. I'm going to call my event, and the function prevent default. Okay, and the same on drag event we need to add to our second list, and now we can add on drag start event to our list element, and we'll add event handler as well. So, and I'm going to add on drag start, and we'll take event and pass it to my function, and function will be handle drag start and pass my event, and also we need our item, from a list map, and we need this item to store data and pass it to functions that will be handler for event drop. And now I'm going to add new arrow function, handle drag start, and we defined that we'll pass event and item to this function. And now we can implement the code, and I'm going to use our event, and event will have data transfer attribute, and I can set my data, and I'm going to define format. It will be just text, and data. As data, I'm going to use my item and stringify my object because we're using array of objects, and item is an object, and I'm going to use JSON stringify to make string from my item. Okay, and now we can add on drop event to our div with class name list. It's a container for our list elements, and I'm going to add on drop, and also I'll provide event as parameter to function handle drop and pass event, and also I need some name to check if we are going to drop element to list 1 or list 2, and I'll use just text list 1. Okay, and now we need to implement the function handle drop, and it will take event and also some text, and I'll give it the name target list, and implement the function. Okay, and first of all, I'm going to add event prevent default behavior to allow dropping and avoid some unwanted behavior. And now I can retrieve my item from data transfer, and I'm going to use event data transfer attribute and get data, and we defined our data as text, and I'm going to use this text name as we defined in handle drag start function. Okay, and it should return the string, and I'm going to make the object from the string, and I'm going to use JSON parse function, and now I can assign this object to some variable, and I'm going to use name dropped item and assign. Okay, we have our item, and now we can check our target, and let's check if target list equals to list 1. Then I'm going to modify my list, and for now I'm going to just add my dropped item. I need to change the name, so I'm going to add my dropped item to the object to the array of objects, and I'm going to use function set list 1, and we'll retrieve brief items and use my brief items to add the new one, and it will be array, and using destructor from brief items I can add my dropped item to an array, and function setList will modify the state of list 1. And now I can add else function and else statement and add if condition if target list equals list 2, then I'll set list 2 will add dropped item to my list 2. And also I need to add this events to list 2. We have on drag over, and I can add on drop and specify here list 2. And also I can copy paste this code and paste it to my list 2 and provide the state of my list 2. And let's check what we have so far. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page and move item 4. As you can see, we can move the item to list 2. If I move it outside, the moving is blocked. And now I'm going to drop. And as you can see, we have item 4 in list 2 container. And I'm going to move item 5. Okay, and our moving is working, but we have a problem that item 4 and item 5 are in the list 1. So let's remove these items from our list 1. And for that, I'm going to write function, use my set list 2 function, and just apply filter. Also, I'm going to use ref items and just use filter, ref items and filter. Ref items, it's an array, so we can use filter to iterate through elements, and I'm going to add for each item, check if item id not equals to dropped item id. Okay, and I need to add one more parenthesis. Okay, and for the list 2, I can set list 1. The same function, but we'll set list 1. And let's check what I have now. I'm going to refresh the page and drag item 3 and drop it into list 2. And as you can see, item 3 is in list 2, and we don't have item 3 in list 1. So I can move item 7, and we also don't have item 7 in list 1. And let's change the styles for list 2 and make the color blue. I'm going to open my CSS file and provide some styles for list 2 class, and for item I'm going to make background color blue, and also we can change color pseudo class and color and make background color dark blue. And I'm going to assign list 2 class to my second list, and it's here. It will have also list 2 class, and let's check what we have. And as you can see, the color was changed, and I can move one more item, and when I drop the item, the color is changing. And one more thing, that when I move the item back, it works perfectly. But let's see one more thing. I'm going to move it to list 1, but then I decided to return item 5 to my list 2, and we have 2 items 5, and the same will be for item 3 and for item 6. And we need to fix that, and to fix that, I'm going to return to my code and change the function that we provided to setlist1, and we need to check if the item is in list, then we will not add this item to our pref items array. And I'm going to create new function for that, and add dropped item. It will be arrow function, and I'm going to use pref items and return some code, and I'm going to use variable is item present in array. Then I'm going to use my pref items, and it's an array, so I can use some function and check item, and if some item equals some item ID equals to our dropped item ID, that this will mean that we have item in array, and will not add this item. And I can copy this code and return depending on is item present. And actually, if item present, I will just make copy of my pref items, and I'm going to use ternary operator. And but if we don't have item, we need to add the item. And now I can use my dropped item function inside the set list 1. Okay, and actually I can use this function inside set list 2. And let's check what we have. I'm going to refresh it and move item 5 to list 2 container, and move item 6. And now I'm going to move it back and again, and now I will move it to list 1, but then return to list 2. And as you can see, we don't have an extra item 6. And I will do it for item 3 and check again, and for item 7. Okay, everything is working as expected, but we can change this title. And let me do it. I opened index.html file, and I'm going to change it to drag and drop up. And now I'll return to my component. And as you can see, we have the same function here, and we can just assign it to some name, to the const, and let's call it remove dropped item, and assign this code, and use this function remove dropped item to set list 2. And I need to remove this and save. And now I can use remove dropped item also in set list 1. Okay, and let's check again. I'm going to refresh my page and move item 3 to list 2, move item 5, and move item 6, and I'm going to return item 6 to list 1, and then move item 7, and also I'm going to move item 7, but then return it back to list 2, and I can try to move item 4 outside of list 1, but not in list 2, and now I can move it in list 2, and everything is working as expected. And that's all that I have for today. If you like the video, subscribe to my DevWebApp channel, and I'll provide the links to source code in video description. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.